Welcome to Edging a Win, the only soccer betting show on YouTube that has no rhyme or reason, but produces winners nonetheless. We are usually live with you on Saturday mornings, but this week, Ian and I will be traveling the globe because we were emailed by a Nigerian princess who needs money. So you're going to get all the same great bets this week, just only in a condensed version. And with that, a quick hello to the face of the program, Mr. Ian Allen from Ian OUFC, right here on YouTube. Ian, I know you're excited to travel this weekend, but there are some great soccer games to be played.
Absolutely, Matt. It's great to be here once again. It's just wall-to-wall soccer, quality soccer all the way around now. It doesn't seem to be any break in the quality throughout the week. So it's fantastic. Another exciting weekend ahead, as well as the travel. Not only are we going to go and see this Nigerian princess, but I'm going to see the king's coronation. That's right. I know you savages in the United States won't understand the nuances of royalty, but that's where I'm going because that is the most important thing going on this weekend.
I have no idea what you're talking about, and with that said, everybody out there needs to hit the subscribe button to listen to more nonsense like that, and smash the like button because it is time to dive into our 4 best bets of the weekend as well as Ian's £1 parlay. So, without further ado, let's dive into the Premier League on Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, matchup between Tottenham and Crystal Palace. Ian, what do you like here?
Yeah, Matt, so we're looking at goals in this one, over 2.5 goals. I mean, this one has to have goals written all over it, doesn't it? Spurs literally can't defend. They are so useless at the back. We saw against Liverpool, they were just ripped to shreds. You also saw that against Newcastle recently, but they still do look good going forward, still got plenty of goals in the side. Crystal Palace completely who thought he could play entertaining football, but he's getting the best out of Zaha, which is usually the key to Palace doing well. 6 games for Roy Hodgson, 4 wins, 13 goals in that time. Both sides coming off a 4-3 game at the weekend. Surely it's got to be goals.
Yeah, you would think so. Should we talk about, though, the Liverpool-Spurs game and what the Spurs are going to do next season? I mean, that's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to be quick because, I mean, if you want a condensed version, you're not going to get it with where Spurs are going to go next season. But what a basket case of a game. You had Spurs 3-0 down after like 10 minutes and Tottenham fans leaving already to go home after 10 minutes of the game. And then all of a sudden they staged this great comeback. And then they thought they equalized with like virtually the last kick of the game with Richarlison getting his first goal of the season. But then straight from kickoff, they gave the ball back to Liverpool, straight in on goal. Liverpool make it 4-3. Diogo Jota probably shouldn't have even been on the pitch after he kicked Harry Skip in the head. Crazy game in what's been a bit of a crazy season for Tottenham. Where they go next season, I absolutely have no idea. I can't see them keeping hold of Harry Kane. If they do, almost feel like they're keeping him against his will, holding him to ransom. But they just look a complete mess. And I haven't got a clue what Tottenham's going to turn up at the start of next season.
I don't either, but I do think that is a good first bet. Over 2.5 goals. Tottenham, Crystal Palace, good way to start your weekend. Our second bet this weekend, we're going to dive into a little Serie A with Lorient and Brest. That's at 9 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday. Ian, what you looking at in this one?
What am I see what I'm dealing with here, people? The savages over there. This is Ligue 1. Matt, in France, not Italy.
That is right.
France.
That is right.
Goodness me, I tell you, I know. Well, anyway. Right, yes, so you're right. Lorient versus Brest in this one. We're looking for Lorient on the money line. I was really impressed with the way they played in their win over PSG. What a huge win for them to go to Paris and beat PSG in their own backyard. I know there was a red card early in that one, but it still was a great performance. And I think they'll back that up against a struggling Brest side. But Brest are in pretty good form. They're winning again tonight, but they usually are better at home when they are away. Enzo Lefebvre, absolutely magnificent for Lorient in that win. And as I say, this one should be a good one. It's a bit of a regional derby, both sides up in the northwest, as I say. But I do think Brest struggle away, might be a bit tired from playing midweek, and the momentum that Lorient should have from that win over Paris Saint-Germain should carry them through. So I'm going for Lorient on the money line.
Listen, if I was a stupid American, and I'm not saying I'm not, but if I was, I would make a breast joke at this point, but I'm not going to. I want to talk instead of PSG. I want to talk about PSG and what happened to them last time out against Lorient.
Or you could have done a little saucy French laugh. Again, another crazy game. Nobody saw this game coming. Look, you had Enzo Lefebvre scored a screamer early on in this one to put Lorient 1-0 up. Very typical lazy walking around the pitch sort of game for PSG. Messi, I mean, that's his own story for another time. But then Hakimi gets an early red card, which puts them up against it. But then they get back into the game with one of the most bizarre goals you'll ever see. Mavogo, the goalkeeper for Lorient, just drops the ball and just forgets that Mbappe's just stood right next to him. Mbappe just takes the ball off him, taps it into an empty net. It is a freak goal. And then you think, well, probably PSG will go on to win it. But then Lorient just surge back, score 2 great goals, go on to win the game 3-1. And it's caused a bit of a meltdown in Paris with Messi seemingly being kicked out of the club as a result.
Yeah, and we'll get into that probably next week about Messi. And yeah, I got the notification today that this is going to be it for him, and he'll move on from PSG. But I do like that bet. I like Lorient there on the money line. So that's bet number 2. And Ian, before we get into my MLS bet this week, I think you are intrigued with another Premier League game here on Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and that is Newcastle versus Arsenal. Who are you backing in this one?
Yeah, well, how could you not be intrigued by this one? This is a huge game with 2 sides at the top of the league. Look, I feel that you need to be a bit brave in this one. And if you're not feeling brave, you could back over on goals. But I'm feeling brave, and you should do too. And I'm going to back Newcastle on the money line. I just cannot see Arsenal going up to St. James's Park and getting a win. That place has been like a fortress for the Magpies in recent weeks. They absolutely smashed Tottenham. They beat Man United quite easily over there. And we've seen what Arsenal are like when they play away from home. They're a little bit nervous. They were very just rabbit in the headlights, deer in the headlights against Manchester City. And I could see that being the same thing up against a very raucous, like fever pitch Newcastle crowd. That Arsenal defense, even in the game against Chelsea, where Arsenal were pretty good, but Chelsea, a very easy side to play against this season. I'm not going to rag on them too much. I know you're a Chelsea fan, Matt. But this when Chelsea even put a little bit of pressure on this Arsenal defense, you did see they were a little bit nervy in that one. With Saliba out, that defense just does not look as strong as it's been as when he was there. And I just see the likes of Isak, Wilson, Murphy putting this Arsenal defense to the sword. And unfortunately, Arsenal fans, this is where your dream of the title ends. It's going to be the final nail in the coffin, because Newcastle on the money line is my bet number 3.
Yeah, that's not bad, and I love backing Newcastle right now. I watched that Tottenham game. I mean, that was embarrassing for Tottenham, but I don't really want to talk too much about Newcastle. They can't do anything. They can't win. They're already kind of in a spot to move on, I think, to Champions League, if I'm not mistaken. I do want to talk about Arsenal, because they have been at the front of the Premier League all season, and it does look like at the moment that they are not going to win the Premier League. Man City has overtaken them and should roll on to winning the league. Will Arsenal be considered or having a successful season this year if they don't win the league, as it doesn't look like they will?
I mean, you can spin it either way. I think if you just sat Arsenal fans down at the start of the season before a ball was kicked and you said you're going to finish second, I think Arsenal fans would have been quite happily taken that and said, well, that's going to be an exciting season. But to come so close to winning the league and to have led the lead for so long, and then to see you kind of fall short and go away, I just feel it's going to be a season where they look back on just utter disappointment of getting so close and falling at the final hurdle. You just see Manchester City just don't look like dropping any points. I can't see Arsenal even winning the remaining games to put the pressure on Man City, really. And look, the thing is, Matt, so if you go back to Leicester, and Arsenal are a much better side than Leicester City, a much better club than Leicester City. Leicester had that chance to win the league and they took it. Arsenal had that chance to win the league this season and they're not going to take it. Next season, there's no guarantees that's going to roll around again. Man United are going to be stronger. Liverpool are going to be stronger. Chelsea are definitely going to be stronger. Newcastle are going to be stronger. So this was your chance to do it. They didn't do it. I think that they'll take the positives, but ultimately, I think that they'll just be hurting over the failure of not wrapping up this league.
Yeah, it's hurtful, and teams all around the world do this every single year, so it's not something new. But I do love those 3 bets. Just to recap real quick, we have Tottenham Crystal Palace over 2.5 goals. We have Lorient and Brest playing each other in Ligue 1, and that is going to be Lorient on the money line there, and we have Newcastle hosting Arsenal, and Ian likes Newcastle on the money line. Now, quite honestly, those are 3 great bets. I already have them locked in. Ian, we're going to get back to you in just a moment with your £1 parlay, but I have to move over to, yes, what the Americans call the best soccer league ever, and that is the MLS, and I'm diving in head over heels with our own St. Louis SC team as they take on Dallas in Texas, and I'm going over 2.5 goals in this one. I have won the last 2 weeks on our over. I'm going to try to make it 3 straight, but let me tell you why I like this bet. Honestly, Dallas at home, they've hit this mark in 7 of their last 10 home games, and St. Louis SC has hit this mark in 7 of their last away matches. And if you're doing the math there, that is 70% of the time this bet wins. And St. Louis SC on the road with its opponents are averaging 3.4 goals per game. That is highest in the league right now. Now, Klaus may not be back with St. Louis SC. He's dealing with a quad injury this week. We saw last week they can still create some chances, although they did lose 2-1 against Portland, and they honestly, in that front half of the field, did miss Klaus and his nice touches to the different forwards and midfielders. Speaking of that loss, each time, though, that they've come off a loss this season, they have gone over 2.5 goals. So I am riding the over here with Dallas and St. Louis, and I am going to make it 3 straight weeks in a row with an MLS winner. What do you think, Ian?
Yeah, I think it's a good bet. I mean, St. Louis look a good side. I mean, it's one of the first times I've really got to sit down and watch a game. And yeah, it was a very even game with Portland. But they missed that focal point of Klaus up there. They really created some good chances, and you felt if they'd have had a centre forward like him, they would have stuck one away. And it was a very even game, and they just came out on the wrong side of it. So I would say they won't be hurting too much after that, and they'll go into this one fully expecting to get something out of the game.
Yeah, and we saw earlier this season they have tenacity. They came back after losing 2 in a row and absolutely spanked Cincinnati.
Terrible penalty decision, though, in that game as well. I mean, that was a really shocking red card, a penalty that went against them for Portland's first goal.
100%. I think it should have been a 1-1 draw. I would have been a little bit more content with that. But that is our 4th bet, but we have our £1 parlay in each and every week. He gives out a 14 parlay that you just want to throw about $1 or £1 on. It's got great odds, and we're just trying to see if we can't nick a decent payday to help build your bankroll a little bit. So, Ian, what is your 14 parlay today?
Yeah, it's the final weekend for a lot of the EFL sides in Championship League 1, League 2. So this might be one of the last chances I get to hit this for a while, so hopefully we get it. So it's going to stretch out a little bit over the weekend. You've got starting on Saturday with Bournemouth versus Chelsea. Matt, close your ears because I'm going for a Bournemouth win in that one. I just think Chelsea have been horrific so far, and Bournemouth are in really good form as they've secured Premier League status for another season. Huddersfield Town versus Reading in the Championship. Huge game at the bottom. This will relegate Reading to the Championship, and Huddersfield, I think, will get that win at home. Going for my beloved OUFC at home to Accrington Stanley in this one. First time I backed Oxford in one of these ones. I just think they're coming off the back of 2 good wins. They found some form. They found some goals. And I think they'll round off the season in a game I'm going to go to with a good win at home, hopefully on the final day. And Salford versus Gillingham. a side owned by the likes of Gary Neville, David Beckham, and all that lot. I think that they will beat Gillingham at home. They need the win to sort of secure the playoffs, and I think they'll get that win, and that rounds off my 14 parlay.
Yeah, last real chance here to hit one with the EFL leagues in play. I'm sure we can find Miss Anderson's third grade class going against somebody next weekend, and I'm going to take the over probably on that one. Also, we'll dive into more MLS news next weekend when we're back live. I want to talk about Miami FC with Beckham and Phil Neville and that relationship. As well as New England, Cincinnati, and everything that we could take from this weekend with New England winning there. Tons of great soccer. Glad you can join us for this condensed version. We're off to see a Nigerian princess, but we will see you next Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on YouTube.